Hey, welcome to the 2024 season preview for the Carlton Football Club. I've only waited 6 months to say that. Pretty much from the final siren of the preliminary final, I have been yearning to say that. And I think a lot of us have been yearning to hear it and experience it. And it's finally here. And we have arrived at yet another footy season. Can't start any season preview without taking a moment to just acknowledge what the footy is for us. Carlton supporters, for a reason that I still haven't quite grasped, are special because of our passion. We're one of few clubs that has the passion that we have to the level that we have all year round, even when the footy season has ended. And it's such a special time. I know for me personally, I certainly lose my head. I lose... This might sound ridiculous, but I really do feel like those November, December, January months, I lose a bit of purpose. I lose myself a bit. I have to face myself and all the issues. And the footy, I think it used to be an escapism for me. And I think the footy serves as a purpose for everyone in their lives for whatever's going on in a different way. It's a bit different now. I'm not trying to escape my life and forget about my problems by going to the football. You know, I'm fully immersed in the footy now, and it's part of the livelihood, and it's just such a great time. The city of Melbourne in particular, where I live, it's not the same when there's no footy. I truly believe the culture of Melbourne is tied to the AFL, and the city lights up. The city gets its soul back when the footy's on, when the lights on a Friday night at the MCG are shining, when you look over the Yarra River, and it's truly the greatest spectacle on earth. And I'm just so excited and grateful to be here once again to bring you another season of the Blue Abroad YouTube channel, to bring you and cover another season of the Carlton Football Club. So 2024, what's it all about? What is it? Where are we at? What's going to happen? So many questions at this point in the year. We have to wait about 6 months to get the answers. I think the club has finally got itself to a point where the stability is what we're talking about now. This is a new concept to me. I am not used to stability. I am used to a tumultuous club. I'm used to an emotional club. I'm used to a reactionary club. But this off-season has been one where we've seen stability. We've seen the key leaders within the football club and the administration extended and re-signed. We know that Vossi's going to stick around. He had an extension to his contract. CEO Brian Cook and the president Luke Sayers, we're going to have them for at least this season and next season. And so one of the things I'm really curious about is, does stability off-field truly impact on-field results? So that's something that I'm going to find out at the end of this year, maybe over the course of the next 2 years. It is that buzzword, I would say, of the preseason. I think stability and probably connection together with pressure and contest. I think they're the four of the key words that I've heard from the Carlton Football Club, from the fans and the like. I think we need to cast our mind back to the end of 2023 to truly see how far we have come as a club. We went through what we went through in 23. We got ourselves into a hole. We dug ourselves out of the hole. We held firm in the volcanic fire that is, the external noise for the Carlton Football Club. And external even means the fans. And there was something really symbolic about the final moment of 2023. We lost. And usually when we lose, that comes with a sense of frustration and disappointment and sometimes anger. But we lost, and our fans at the game, and I would say the fans at home that were watching and those online, actually gave the boys a standing ovation. And what it meant to me was a symbol of the beginning of the next phase. I really do believe we're about to enter / we have entered this era at the club, and over the course of the next 3 to 4 seasons, hopefully more, we are in a position where the list, the age profile, the experience, the failures, the setbacks, the lessons have brought us here. And whatever happens in the next 3 to 4 years, I believe we're capable of winning a premiership, hopefully more, over the course of the next 3 to 4 seasons. We took a long time, seemingly, to get just to the final series, and then we almost skipped the queue and made a grand final. And I believe we have unlocked that mental hurdle where we went from can we do it, can we not do it, to will we do it, will we not do it. And that's where I think we are now. And that's a different set of expectations. I've learned that, I mean, can you really expect a premiership or a grand final berth? I don't think that's reasonable. But I think what is reasonable to expect is the way in which the group play. And I think now going into the 3rd season under Michael Voss and his style of play and the coaching staff and, the group, I think we are now at a point where rather than having to change the game plan for a new coach or a new regime, we now get to just add to what we already have learned and just get better at what we already know. And so contest and pressure is who we are. That's what we are. If we don't have the contest and pressure at the optimal level, we're a different side. We go from a great side to an okay side. That's something I think I've learned over the course of the last 12 months. So the question is, can we consolidate what happened last year? That's the big one. Whether you're an optimist or a pessimist is irrelevant. At the end of the day, what will be, will be. And whether we end up winning a premiership, not winning a premiership, improving, regressing, there's a magical thing that'll happen afterwards. And that is, it'll all just keep going. It's an infinite game. And so I think there's a level of maturity and emotional maturity that I've seen from the club. I'm really fascinated, almost as equally as the team and the on-field, as the fan base. I believe that we as a fan base, if we can harness our energy into having some level of improvement in our emotional intelligence, in our ability to show that resolve, just like the club did last year, and not panic, I think that is going to create an even greater competitive advantage. We are a club, and it's a privilege to be in this position. We are a club that draws so much attention, and it can be very easy to get misled and misguided into believing a certain narrative based off the way in which the media covers the club. It's very easy to generate attention with this football club when you talk about it in a negative way, in a toxic way. And so I think there's a challenge for us as a fan base to do something similar to what our football club did, and make sure that we add a level of critical thinking to what we're reading and consuming, and bring, like I said, a maturity in the way in which we consume, discuss, and respect, the players and the football club. And I actually think part of that has to do with the club continuing to show the way in which they have improved. Because I think at the end of the day, it's half a season that they showed the best that we've ever seen them over the last decade. So if they can consolidate what they did last year as a football club on field, I think that'll add another layer of trust. And, for me, being someone who was born in 1991, don't really remember the last flag, don't really remember 99. I really only have the failings and the disappointment of the 21st century to go off as my experience. I can't explain how much I enjoyed, more than anything, the fact that the whole fan base were behind the club, and there was this alignment. And that's what I want from this season. Now, that won't happen if there's losses and if we regress and if we don't make the finals and things like that. So it is dependent, I guess, on the results, which, can you ever change that? Probably not. This is a results-based business, organization, sport, and experience for the fans. But for the players, it has to be process-driven, and they can't get sucked into the win-loss. The fans, we will always judge based off the wins and losses. I think that's just the way it's going to be. That's what a fan is. The fan who doesn't get to live the day-to-day of the process happening inside the four walls can only really have any opinion based off what they see on game day and maybe what they read. And that's why I think in this age of misinformation, it's really important that we try and keep our heads. So that's another point that I'm excited to explore this year and see where we can improve. I think on the field, I believe what's happened on the field, if I split the field into three sections, defense, midfield and forward, I believe our midfield has shown its capabilities. I believe our defense certainly showed its capability as a whole, particularly in 2023. And then I think our forward line, for all the star power, and if you look at it on paper, it's arguably one of the better forward lines when it comes to the key position players, but it hasn't quite matured. It hasn't quite taken the step that the defense and the midfield have. And that's where I think the greatest improvement can come. I believe in 2023, we showed that we can defend our way through to a preliminary final. And I think once we unlock the way we move the ball, particularly forward of center, and start generating some, more optimal positions for shots on goal, we're going to become a very dangerous side. And so that's something that I think needs to improve in order for the team to improve. And in order for us to take the next step, we must be challenged and we must be able to improve in the forward half of the ground. So that is something that I'm really looking out for. I'm not naive to think that just because we made a prelim in 2023, that means that we're going to be successful in 2024. Every team has a different story. There's a different weight to carry. The reality is, what I don't know about this group is how they react after what was seemingly a successful season. What we've had over the course of our experience, say in the last 5 years, is the end of every season, it's disappointment, it's frustration. And that can be easy to use as motivation, particularly if you think about end of 2022, the way that all ended against the Pies in the last game. You carry that weight into 2023 and you use that to spur you on, and we look at and see what happens. So can we be just as motivated to improve after what is, I think, universally seen as a successful season in 2023? That's going to be a test to see what the mentality is like. And that's something we don't know yet. We're going to have to wait until the end of 2024. And I say the end of 2024 for a reason, because I think all of us midway through 2023 were thinking, okay, it's the same old shit. It's the same old Carlton. So that's very exciting. If I talk about some predictions and how I see things evolving, the preseason's been a short one, even though it feels long, because I missed the footy. A few standouts. We've got some new players. We've turned over the list a little bit. We've gotten rid of some guys who have been on the list for a while, and for whatever reason, the future just wasn't there for them. And so I'm excited to see that little regeneration of the list. When I think of some players who I think are going to show the most improvement from 2023, I think of the following names. I'm not going to put them in any order. I'll say them in an order, but any of these three guys I really do believe are going to make a quantum leap, a big leap. The first one is Harry Mackay. I know that sounds weird because he's a Coleman medalist, had a bit of a down year last year in terms of his confidence. But from what I've seen in the preseason, I look for a couple of things. Have they done most of the preseason? And how's the body moving? Are they moving with confidence and with force? I think Harry's ticking both of those boxes. And Harry falls into another category that we're going to be really careful of. When a narrative starts building, fans can actually add to that narrative. So we're going to be really careful to not add to the unnecessary pressure for Harry Mackay. If anything, I think more than ever, all of them, but Harry in particular, got to get around him, got to provide an environment of support. Because when you have an environment of support, you can relax. And when you can relax, you can focus. And I think that is Harry's challenge. So I love what I've seen from his preseason. Body looks good, moving freely. Harry Mackay, big improver. I think David Cunningham is the other one. First of all, we finally got to hear him talk, which I think is symbolic because he's not someone that has traditionally spoken to us via media platform. So I think that shows a bit of confidence that he's got within himself. Also, he's had a full preseason. You tick all the boxes. It's not really rocket science. You get a full preseason, chances are you're going to have a consistent run at the AFL season. So I think we're finally going to see Dave Cunningham do what we have been expecting him to do one day. I think one day is 2024. I'm really excited for him. And then Ollie Hollands. There's just something about the way he trains. And I think the way you train, the longer you train like that, you get rewarded. And I just think he's going to take a big step forward. Still a second-year player. I don't like putting pressure. I'm not putting pressure, but you just watch the way he moves, the passion with which he plays, particularly in a year where we're not going to have Jack Silvani, who plays with that soul. I think Ollie Hollands does. So I like those three guys as our most improved. I think the best and fairest. There's a guy who, for whatever reason, we've just stopped talking about, which I think is a good sign. Because traditionally, when you talk about Patrick Cripps, it's if he doesn't play well, we don't play well. And now that we've had a few more other pieces evolve around him in the forward line, in the back line, and in the midfield, the attention goes away from him a little bit. But I think he's had a full preseason. In fact, I know he has because he said he had. And looks to be moving freely. I think Patrick Cripps will win the best and fairest this year. Either him or Harry. I can't split them. Traditionally, it was Sam Walsh. But I think now that we've had this added layer of information about his back, it's flared up. Not sure if that means he's going to miss some games early in the season or if he might be managed throughout the season. Does that impact his chances for best and fairest? Not sure. I think Walsh is more of a just get right for the right time of the year when we need you the most. But I'm going to turn my attention to Cripps and Harry Mackay. I think one of those two will win the best and fairest, and they're in for a big year. I'm going all in on Cripps pretty much. Could even win the Brownlow. I don't know. Might be getting carried away. And then when it comes to wins, I've done the squiggle ladder predictor. I've gone through every game. I've tried to be as objective as possible. Probably impossible. But I think we are capable of 16 to 17 wins. I think we are a team that is somewhere between the third and the sixth best team in the competition. And I think what I learned last year was you got to get to the MCG for finals, particularly the prelim. Not assuming we're going to make the prelim, but if we did, we've got to put ourselves in a position to play that game at the MCG. We'll never know what would have happened in 2023 if the preliminary final was at the MCG, but let's not wonder in 2024. Let's make it happen. So I'm pumped. I think we all get our lives back. Can't wait to be sitting amongst 90,000 people at times this season and to feel that roar and that excitement of the Carlton Football Club. It's such a special club. I think the reality is you just, for all the frustration that you can feel at times with losses, you have to be grateful for it, because without the club, what would we have to feel this passion and this sense of community about? I don't know what it would be. Maybe it would be, I don't know, something else. But yeah, and from a channel perspective, that's something that that's going to improve wherever it can. I'm so grateful and honored to be doing this for a sixth season. It's crazy to me to think that. For those of you who have been here from the very beginning, from the co-working space days, from the Tel Aviv days, to the Mill Park days, to this studio now, it's been a real honor and a privilege to be doing this. And one thing you can absolutely guarantee is that wherever we can improve, we will. I want to also add as much as possible, just more, like I said earlier, critical thinking, evidence-based conversations. I think we can elevate the conversation and bring, as much as we can, a greater level of intellect, a greater level of critical thinking. Emotion is great. Passion is crucial, and we'll never be able to remove that from game day. But I think during the week, when we talk on our shows, as long as we've got evidence to back up what we're saying, I think we're moving in the right direction. And I really do feel like this platform is what we can use as a football club to consolidate that competitive advantage, because we go to the games and it's unbelievably fun. It's unbelievably electric. And then during the week, we have somewhere to chat amongst ourselves and dissect and discuss and look at the pros and cons of everything. So I'm really excited. I'm really grateful and can't wait to get stuck into it. I will see you guys for the preview of our first game against the Brisbane Lions, and may 2024 come with the premiership. I hope so. I hope so. Because if it is, then we're in for such a great experience. I think we're in for a great experience regardless. And, you know, let's get into it. So see you throughout the year. Take it easy. Also, let me know your most improved, your BNF, and your number of wins in the comments below. We'll come back to this video at the end and see where we're all at. See you then. Go Blues.